Ciao a tutti, benvenuti all'Autodromo Internazionale Enzo Adino Ferrari a Imola. Hello everybody, that's the end of my Italian for the day. You'll be very glad to hear, particularly if you're an Italian speaker. Welcome to the Autodromo Internazionale Enzo Adino Ferrari here in Imola. We're in the heart of Emilia-Romagna for round 2 of the FIA World Endurance Championship. And first up this afternoon is qualifying, a new format to qualifying this season, and we will talk you through that in just a moment. As ever though, our classes will qualify separately to avoid too much traffic carnage among the fast laps. The hypercars will go out later. First up, it's LMGT3. I'm Martin Haven, Graham Goodwin is in the booth. Alongside us is world champion Anthony Davidson. And Anthony, an extra little wrinkle added into qualifying this season because we now have Hyperpole in all the rounds, not just at Le Mans.
Yeah, exactly. It's first of all, great to be here in Imola as part of the Emilia-Romagna region in Italy, near Bologna. So it's a fantastic setting for the World Endurance Championship. Top class racing like this in sports cars hasn't been to this circuit since 2011. So it's new for a lot of drivers, a lot of teams as well. Great to see sports cars back here once again as part of the World Endurance Championship. So qualifying coming up, like you say, Martin. Really looking forward to this one. First of all, with the GT cars, we have Hyperpole as well, like Le Mans, where a select few cars make it through to battle it out for that much coveted pole position. But here we are at round 2 after Qatar, where we were for round 1, and the first race of this World Endurance Championship back here in Europe.
Yeah, it's a great return to Imola. This is a classic old-school track, and with the reintroduction of more and more gravel traps, looks even more like a 1980s, 1990s racetrack than it has done for the last quarter of a century and more. Well, we are high on the top of the Tribuna Ayrton Senna. 18 degrees of air temperature, only 3 degrees warmer than it was this morning, but the sun's been out and the track temperature's gone from 23 to 30 degrees. That's a significant change.
It really is, and you know that's going to play dividends when it comes to this tyre warm-up, particularly for qualifying, as we now look to this 4.9 kilometre circuit, 3 miles long, focusing first of all at the Variante Tarambello corner of turn 2, 3 and 4. Now a really important corner come race day for potential overtakes, but in qualifying you've got to thread that through nicely. Then up the hill to Piratella turn 9. It's a blind entry and you've got to carry a lot of speed and have a good confidence in the balance of your car, particularly in qualifying, which is right on the edge. And then Acqua Minerale, we study this corner as well. Fantastic driver's corner. You plummet down the hill, this double right-hander, really important to get on the power as soon as you can to take you back up the hill to the highest point on the circuit. Quite a lot of elevation change around this classic old school racetrack, as you say, Martin, and one that all the drivers enjoy driving and respect the challenge of. If you do make a few mistakes like we've seen in all the practice sessions leading up to this qualifying, we've seen it just bite you very hard. You're in the gravel, close to the barriers, and it punishes mistakes big time. And
there are quite a number of drivers who have never been here before. And you're quite talking to Danny Juncadella, never raced it before, done one test before, never raced it before. So, I mean, when you were growing up, when you were in karting, everybody raced here all the time, but it was closed for a while. It's been redeveloped twice or reformed twice. So there is a lack of knowledge among some of the drivers of this track. Now, some of the teams have tested here this season, predominantly most of them haven't. So again, there's that deficit of knowledge in a lot of cases of what works on this track. And if you were testing last week, the track temperatures would have been closer to 40 than 20 where they were this morning. So, Graham, we're entering certainly quite an unknown period for all of our teams.
We are. A number of the hypercar teams have tested here. Some of the GT3 teams have tested here. But the other part of this, there's two other parts of it. One is part of the circuit has been resurfaced comprehensively, the back end of the circuit. The other thing is, aside from those teams that have tested recently, what's absolutely certain is that almost nobody has tested or raced here in the cars they're here this weekend for. Now remember, the other part of what we're about to see for the first part of LMGT3 qualifying, we'll explain that in a moment, is these two sessions, qualifying and Hyperpole, are of course the only times in this race meeting the LMGT3s will be out there by themselves. So it does give the bronze drivers, because it is going to be the bronze drivers we see aboard these cars, a pretty unique experience ahead of the busy time they're likely to have for something like 6 hours tomorrow.
You beat me to it, Graham. I was going to say that for once, the LMGT3 drivers get out there on a free track and they can actually get into the rhythm of this circuit, particularly for, like you say, the bronze drivers that have to do qualifying. The amateur drivers, you know, usually drivers that are paying for the privilege to sit in these fantastic racing cars and drive around such a beautiful racetrack.
Now, one of the things they're going to have to be cautious of, especially in qualifying, is TL, track limits. We have 39 cars in our field. 31 cars were penalised at least once for track limit infringements in FP3 alone. Now, if you exceed track limits once in your qualifying lap, it's gone. That's the end of it. It's done. So you'll then have to go again and again with a tyre that's giving you progressively less in terms of its ultimate edge of speed. So clinical precision as well as a degree of bravery, because they haven't had the latitude, like you said, Ant, of a clear track to really hang these cars out to the extreme limit before. And
that's why we come into qualifying and we're in the unknown as well as to who's really got the speed here, as Tom Van Rompuy in the part of the TF Sport crew there running the Corvettes. He's got to be, you'd have to say, one of the hot favourites for pole position here today, but we don't really have much of a handle on who is going for that pole position today, who has the speed behind them, because every lap we've seen, they're mixing it with the hypercars in FP1, FP2 and FP3 leading up to this. So for once, they haven't got that complication, they haven't got that confusion and distraction around them. Looking at Sarah Bovey there, she's the bronze driver as part of the Iron Dames crew in the 85 Lamborghini.
Now, before we get to actual qualifying, let's take a look at the tyre allocations. Goodyear have a choice of two different dry weather tyres, a medium and a medium plus for hotter conditions, and a wet weather, which hopefully we won't get to use, although it was looking almost certain that it would rain this weekend. That seems to be going away a little bit. In the last free practice session, the two Aston Martins were the fastest cars ahead of one of the BMWs, the 31 car from WRT, then a Porsche, the 92 from Manthey Purex Racing, then United Auto Sports McLaren, then the Vista AF Corsa Ferrari that Thomas Floor will be driving here. So yesterday, Corvette were very quick. I was talking to the team, where's your pace gone today? Yesterday, they were exceeding the power output. All of these cars have torque sensors in the transmissions to monitor how much power they're putting out. And he said, we were overstepping that, so we've had to back it back today. And they're now just trying to get right on the limit of the power. Into qualifying we go, and again, this is a very short, rapid-fire session. All the cars in each of the classes will...
Under 1 minute to open pit lane. Please remind drivers of the need to respect track limits. Any lap which is noted or seen or reported by the marshals will be immediately deleted within our possibilities. Qualifying should be done with maximum respect for track limits.
He's absolutely right, and there is a long list in the appendix to the regulations of everybody who's monitoring each of these corners, and every single one of the 20 corners is being watched for track limits. As I was going to say, 12 minutes, full field qualifying, then the fastest guys go through, or guys and girls go through, into Hyperpole. So it's get on with it now, in a hurry. Cold tyres, less of an issue for the LMGT3 cars, but still a factor. You're going to burn 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 minutes maybe, bringing your tyres into temperature. And we saw this morning for the hypercars, 3 laps, they're still struggling for temperature. So hypercar qualifying is going to be even more intense.
We go for LMGT3 qualifying, 12 minutes on track, and what matters here is the top 10 cars in this field. They will be the cars that go through into the Hyperpole competition that will follow, but for the moment you get to see the whole of the LMGT3 field. Who is going to be the king of the bronzes, or indeed the queen of the bronzes here, because that's just as much much part of the equation in the FIA World Endurance Championship, with the fabulous Iron Dames and Sarah Bovey out there in her Lamborghini Huracan. They were nowhere near the pace in Qatar, but they've had a pretty big aero change since then. That, from what we gather from Lamborghini and the Iron Lynx and Iron Dames teams, was one of the problems they'd had in Qatar. They've got a bit more of the wing angle back, a bit more downforce through that car. That could make a substantial change. But look to, gentlemen, and everybody out there, for the pace of Alex Malikin. He was the class in the field for pure racing with the Monty Porsche last time out in Qatar, and he's been by far the quickest bronze driver in free practice so far.
On board with Ahmad Al-Hati, he's the bronze driver in WRT's number 46 BMW. It's number 46 because their star driver Valentino Rossi carries that number and has done since I started commentating on him when he was 14.
So no pressure then?
No, none at all.
For Al-Hati to perform really well in front of Valentino Rossi's home crowd.
Well, just before this session got underway, they had an autograph session where all the drivers are in the garages at a table signing cards and taking photos and everything. There was a 3-layer Armco zigzag queue to get to Valentino Rossi to file past the great man, just so that he could try and get through that. And I was saying to one of the Italian guys at Lamborghini, I said, there's 65,000 advance tickets sold for this weekend. I said, 20 of those are probably for Valentino. He went, no, much more than that.
The other good news, by the way, from free practice, in particular the free practice 3 show that we had just this morning, it was the top 11 cars within a single second, but the top 7 cars were 7 different mates from the 9. So within tenths of seconds in that free practice session. How close are they going to be in qualifying? We're going to know in about 9.5 minutes.
And let's talk about the 9 different marques. We've got Aston Martin, BMW, Ferrari, Lamborghini, McLaren, Ford, Lexus. Who have I missed out? Nobody. Oh, Porsche. There we go.
That one there.
So you've got, a massive variety. We talked about this in free practice. Not just cars from different manufacturers, but you've got front-engined, mid-engined, rear-engined, normally aspirated, turbocharged, flat-six, V8, V10, you name it, pretty much apart from a 2CV, it's out there. There is something for everybody. And that's one of the great things about balance of performance. What it does is allows totally different cars to race together on an even playing field, and that is devoutly to be wished. The greatest thing about sports car racing is the variety of shape and sound.
Depending on your generation, it's either a real-life top trumps game, or it's Gran Turismo or Le Mans Unlimited. Right out there right now. We get more of it later when the hypercars take to the track. But for now, the stage is set for the bronze drivers and these blistering equipped LMGT3 cars.
Well, currently 46, Ahmad Al-Hati, can see his times on the right-hand side of the screen. He's gone purple in sector 1 and 2, and Anthony, as we see in Formula 1, so the same colours apply. Purple means fastest of everybody on track at the moment. And he was the man who claimed pole position in Bahrain at the end of last season. So he has got form as well.
Yeah, so you see, talking of those sectors, Martin, you see that the purple sector there on Sarah Bovey in the Iron Dames, number 85, sits 3.5 tenths quicker through the first sector, but by the time she's got to the second sector, you're now away, so just by 1.5 tenths. So what can she do in the final sector to try and make up that lost time through sector 2? But all of the drivers, we see this with the bronze drivers, they take a little bit longer, with all due respect, to get up to speed compared to the silvers, the golds and the platinums, you know, i.e. the professional, the paid drivers to do their job. That's what you'd expect from them. The bronze drivers, they naturally take a little bit more time to get the feel for the car, and also on top of that, with cooler conditions today here in Imola than we expected before coming here, and that means that the tyres are on a fairly slow speed circuit in terms of cornering speeds, that it puts less energy through the tyres, so it takes longer for them to come into play as well. So let's keep an eye on the lap times unfolding. At some point, they'll plateau and then start to slow down. But for now, I'm expecting the times, these purple sectors, to keep tumbling.
Looking here at the Porsche of Alexander Malikin, I think that's what Graham was about to jump in and say. He's currently on target to go faster. Target time 1:55.7 at the moment. 2 sectors in, he was 2.5 seconds up. Yasser Shaheen for Manthey EMA was top, but Alexander Malikin goes topper.
But the fastest time we've seen from a bronze driver, and it was Alex Malikin in free practice so far, is a further second and a half quicker than that. So there's still more to come on this track. It's different track conditions, of course, now, but these cars are going substantially quicker now. So Ian James goes to the top, and Malmud Al-Hati just squeezes through as well, 1:43.6. Still time to come. We are just halfway through this 12-minute qualifying session.
Just saw Maxime Martin in the middle of the garage there, who shares that car with Ahmed Al-Hati and Valentino Rossi. Come on, as he's necking the Coca-Cola.
Great stuff from Sorobovi there through the Variante Alta, the top chicane. Through turns 15, 16, really nicely over the curbs there, but not a particularly brilliant, not her best lap so far. Maybe there's more to come from that Lamborghini later on. Just 2 personal bests for her so far. What can she do in the final sector as she comes up to the line now? 1:45.1 to beat.
Well, she had gone quicker in the second sector than anybody, but now Alexander Malikin in the 92 Porsche has beaten that time. There's the Iron Dames garage.
Bovi goes second, for the moment at least. The split for the top 10, we're going to start to switch towards that, is just over 1.2 seconds from first to 10th. So anybody slower than 1.25 seconds from our current provisional pole time is out of the top 10 and will be out of Hyperpole as things stand. 5 minutes to go.
Right now, Alexander Malikin is 9th. United Autosports McLaren driver James Cottingham is 10th. They're on the bubble. Cottingham's now down to 11th as Ahmed Al-Hati goes top. And Joshua Cahill in his McLaren has actually bumped his teammate out. Darren Leung, reigning British GT champion, 17th place at the moment in Team WRT's machine. He goes top of the pile, and that's how intense qualifying is going to be.
Ian James takes that position by just a bit, loses that to track limits. So it's Ahmed Al-Hati on the top now. So Ahmed Al-Hati, the Yamani driver, teammate, of course, to Valentino Rossi and Maxime Martin.
Now, the car that was fastest of all in free practice 3 is the 777D Station Aston Martin, and Clément Mature has not yet set a legal time. Alexander Malikin lost his time to track limits. He's now down to 12th. There's Michel Gatting.
Yeah, so Bovi just had a bit of the rear just stepped out on the way in towards the first of the Ravazzas there at turn 18. And she would have definitely spotted that as well, had Michel Gatting. But still, her best lap so far, I believe, with Bovi as she comes up to the line now. And yeah, does indeed go top. So actually had a very strong middle sector there and continued to improve. Despite that little snap she had, kept it under control by the mid-corner. She is really attacking the circuit now.
Yeah, sorry, Graham, 3.5 minutes left.
3.5 minutes left, and currently outside of the bubble, it is the Proton competition number 77 Mustang, TF Sports 81 Corvette. The Monza Pure Racing car, Alex Malikin putting in very fast sectors, but he's not delivering. He's had track limits here. Comes to the end of the lap now. Where can he manage to get it this time? The answer is looking like kind of second. So that bumps out the other Porsche. Yasser Shaheen goes down to 11th. So we've got TF Sports Proto competition. Both United Autosports McLarens currently out of the Hyperpole class, as are both of the Lexus.
Yeah. Here's Thomas Floor. His Ferrari is in at the moment. That's the 54 AF Corsa car, and he's on an even better lap, not just than his own, that seemingly than anybody else's. So this could go from 8th to top of the pile. Now, you don't have to be first. You've just got to be in the top 10. Then you get to go again. So the problem is, as we've just seen, you can go from 17th to 1st with one good lap. So being in the top 10 is no guarantee of staying in the top 10. They have to keep pushing all the way, Graham.
The gap's getting smaller and smaller. Remember, it's 1.5 seconds across in top 10, then 1.2, now 1.0. It's just a tiny smidge over a single second will make the difference between topping this session and being out of Hyperpole.
One McLaren is in. Thomas Floor moves up 4 spots to 4th place, but James Cottingham is still hovering in the danger zone in 10th place.
Bovi goes top with an improved time aboard the Iron Dames Lamborghini. And in fact, it's the Lamborghini's top and bottom of the timing screens at the moment.
Tom Van Rompuy in the TF Sport Aston, sorry Graham, in the other car, not the 777. He's the man currently with a quick lap going, but he's lost 3800ths in the middle sector somewhere. There's the D Station Aston, just outside the top 10. Clément Mathieu here with his wife and young baby.
Yeah, Mathieu he lost the rear a little bit on the exit of the second of the Rivazzas at turn 19. The car arguing a little bit as he was desperately trying to get on power, and that's an important corner because it releases you onto that long straight towards turn 2.
Tom Van Rompuy hugging the pit walls. You come round what used to be Variante Bassa. There was a chicane there once upon a time.
1 more minute. Alex Malikin goes to the top of the times with a 1:42.734, the fastest LMGT3 time for a bronze driver of the week so far, and it's the first time he's bettered his free practice times earlier.
James Cottingham is right on the bubble here, isn't he, in the United Autosports McLaren?
Yeah.
Under threat, actually, from the other United Autosports cars. Josh Cagle can complete this lap at the kind of pace he showed across the first 2 sectors. He will go into the top 10, but the car that will drop out is the sister McLaren.
Well, go fast or go home. It is still James Cottingham on the bubble. Josh Cagle did not get there.
And Mathieu, as you can see at the bottom of your screen there on the graphics, 2 personal bests so far, and he's the one that's fighting Cottingham for that top 10 position.
Checkered flag is going to be coming out in 4, 3, 2, 1 second. Checkered flag, so it's the laps that these cars are currently on. Bit of a wiggle there for the 777 car.
Yep. It's now or never for Clément Mathieu, and on target to be, well, was 6 tenths back, but he only needs to be within 8 tenths of pole, and he'll be in the top 10. Does he move up 1 spot? He's the first to the checker. Does not improve.
He does not.
Has not caught up. No, it does not improve. So he remains 11th at the moment.
Josh Cagle want to watch this lap. He's within 1/10 of a second of the provisional pole time. Drops a second, though, in the second sector, and that's going to be a disaster for him because the gap from 1st to 10th, less than a second now.
Yeah, if you drop a second in the second sector, that's probably a big mistake at Variante Alta or in the Rivazzas.
The one still to watch of the cars outside the bubble is, and let's have a quick look, it was Takeshi Kimura, but he's dropped time as well.
I'm not sure anybody has got anything to show the top 10 at the moment. James Cottingham has spent a very nervous about dozen minutes in 10th place, and I think he's going to hang on. The DK Engineering car goes by us now, and he remains in the top 10. Outside 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, and so on down to 18th place in LMGT3. That is where they will start on the grid. The top 10 have guaranteed only that they will go through into Hyperpole and have a shot again at pole position.
7 of the 9 makes make it through with at least 1 car. The only 2 makes that haven't made it through, remarkably, it's the pole position. Corvettes from Qatar have not made it through to the Hyperpole, and neither have either of the Lexus. We've got a Porsche first, the Lamborghini, the Iron Dames car second, the second Porsche in 3rd place, then both of the Vista of Corsa Ferraris, one of which improved right at the end of that session, then the 2 Team WRT BMWs, the 88 Proton Competition Mustang through in 8th place, Heart of Racing's Aston Martin, and United Autosports make it through in 10th place with the number 59 McLaren.
So 10 of our 18 LMGT3 cars now beetle on back to the pit lane to give the team as much time as possible to get them re-prepped for Hyperpole.
And then, of course, now, as you say, they'll come into the pits, then you'll have the hypercars copying exactly what's just gone on here. So it's not like the GTs go back out there and do the shootout for the top 10. Now we go to the hypercars, and then we get into the Hyperpole for the GTs, and then the top class, the hypercars.
Josh Cagle walking back into the McLaren garage, but Sarah Bovey remains in her Porsche, in her Lamborghini. That's another pound in the jaw. See, last weekend in the ELMS...
They were in a Porsche.
They were still in a Porsche, so yeah.
Great stuff from Alex Malikin and the Montai Pure Racing team from Lithuania.
Let's go down to WRT BMW with Bruce Joanny. Bruce, who have you got to talk to?
Well, I could speak to Augusto Farfus and Sean Galil that are just next to me and have a little word with them because both cars made it through. Augusto, can I have a little word from you? Happy that the two cars made it through?
Yes, I'm super happy. I mean, we are cheering for both BMWs. We made P5 and P6, so I think we have a solid package. I mean, let's hope for the good Hyperpole. And Imola is very important track position, so I can't wait to see my big man do a good job.
Okay, we're looking forward.
Right, ciao.
Now there is the voice of a driver who's got a lot of experience on this track. Augusto Farfus raced here in single-seaters in Euro 3000. Below that in Formula 3. He raced here a number of times as a BMW driver in World Touring cars. Since then in TCR, he's raced a whole host of different cars here. So many drivers with a wide range of experience coming in here, and he's driven pretty much everything with wheels.
Worth again reiterating, by the way, you saw Hiroshi Kazumi being fed back what had happened in that session, perhaps some aspects of it he didn't know. The gap between success and being in Hyperpole and failure are not less than 0.2 of a second. That's how close it is.
And it was interesting, Farfus there, speaking with his own personal experience, that this circuit is incredibly hard to overtake on. But you know, it's a long race, a 6-hour race. You'd think, well, is qualifying, does it bear any resemblance of the overall race result? But here, the other thing to consider as well is you stay more out of trouble the further up the grid you are, particularly in the LMGT3 category. So he knows through his own experience that, yeah, let's get ourselves not just in pole position or right up there, but just for like the self-satisfaction, the glory of qualifying. He's already thinking about the race, those 6 hours that you need to be in the best possible position around this very tough racetrack throughout the whole event.
And you were saying about the rhythm of that session, as we are going to get the Hyperpole happening next for the GT3. Let's go back down to Bruce, who's got last time out pole sitter, this time off the bubble, Tom Van Rompuy.
Tom, thanks for a quick interview. Difficult qualifying, disappointing comparing to last weekend, but what are you expecting for the race? Can you make it back?
Let's hope. For this weekend we don't have the package to go for pole, but let's hope we can make a good package for a good race pace. A bit the opposite like last time, where we had a good qualifying pace, but then not such a good race pace and some technical issues. So I'm hoping we can make it work.
Okay, fingers crossed for you.
Thank you very much.
Potter was going to make, just before we went to that interview with Bruce and Tom Van Rompuy, 7 of the 18 cars in that session improved on their final lap of that session. So that was competitive right to the end. And one of them was Tom Van Rompuy to bring himself within 0.2 of safety and into the Hyperpole. He didn't make it. But they'll have learned lessons. They'll be coming back fighting next time, absolutely for sure. But we're about to have another 10 minutes of Hyperpole for GT3.
They'll be coming back fighting tomorrow. As I explained before the session, I was talking to Tom earlier, and he was saying that they were producing too much horsepower yesterday and getting penalised for it, and they've had to wind back the engine, and it's now producing a little less pace than they expect to have in the race. But didn't quite get the balance right for qualifying. Into Hyperpole for LMGT3. A 10-minute full field session has produced our fastest 10 drivers, and they will all go into another 10-minute session. This time, the result will decide the fast 10 positions, or the first 10 positions on the grid. So all cars, whichever brand or type they are, on the same Goodyear Eagle tyre that's supplied this weekend.
And I must apologise for the confusion if I caused any, but the reason for it is that in Qatar, we did do it the way I explained, with the GTs then going to the hypercars and then both hyperpoles afterwards. So here they've changed that format, and my apologies that I wasn't aware of that.
I think it's because we've got actually quite a tight pit lane here, so actually doing the switcheroo significantly more difficult.
I think it makes more sense to do it this way as well, so I'm happy I'm wrong.
In terms of what we're going to have out there, gentlemen, it is going to be, in numerical order, Heart of Racing's number 27 Aston Martin in James at the wheel. Darren Young in the 31 Team WRT BMW M4 GT3, the sister car, the 46 of Ahmad Al-Hati. Then the two Vista AF Corsa Ferrari 296 GT3s, the 54 with Thomas Fleur and Francois Elio in the sister 55 cars. The cars start to roll. United Autosports sole representatives with the McLaren GT is going to be James Cotting with the 59 car, Iron Dames, Sarah Bovey in the bright pink and white 85 Lamborghini. Then it's the solo Proton competition Mustang that made it through, the 88 car for Giorgio Roda, Yasser Shaheen in Manthey EMA's orange and white 91 Porsche, and then the winners in Qatar, Manthey Pure Racing, and the driver that would top the session in the qualifying part of this is going to be Alex Malikin. He needs to pit lane now.
And you would have seen, for those of you watching back home, you would have seen on the bottom left-hand side of your screen the Lamborghini coming together in the hypercar category. So thanks to this change of format for this weekend, it means therefore that they are going to make it through and actually get out there for qualifying. If it was the same format we had in Qatar, they may have missed out at the start of this vital round of qualifying. So yeah, that's the racing gods shining down on Lamborghini on their home circuit.
Big change this year for this qualifying format. So far, it seems, the fans trackside and watching at home, and you're very welcome watching at home and following on social media to follow through and tell us what you think of this new format and of the new look to the FIA World Endurance Championship in 2024 and beyond.
So what I expect from this session is that the bronze drivers now, with another new set of tyres on in this Hyperpole session, they're in the groove. So the drivers are usually then, having to get out the car, watch the hypercars out there before they get back in to do the final shootout of the top 10. They're straight back into it. The brakes are already warm, and that heat soak naturally will go into the tyres as well. They'll come up to temperature faster because of that, and the drivers, much more in the groove than they were. So I'm expecting lap times to be much more on the pace from earlier on.
Here we go, 8 minutes of the session to go, and the cars go on to their first flying lap, gentlemen.
And we saw in the first 10 minutes that right at the end, the Goodyear tyres was still allowing drivers to produce their best lap of the session and to make improvements. So it's not one and done, it's not two and done, it's keep going round in the hope of finding a little bit more every time out of the car.
Yeah, Belgian Chris Martin lookalike Vincent Vos there underneath the flat cap and behind the trademark glasses at Team WRT. He'll be hoping that one of his two bronze drivers can make it to pole position. Darren Young topped the session, as did Ahmed Al-Hati, but they didn't finish there.
Vincent Vos, one of 7 team management personnel in this pit lane. 6, you say now, you've redacted one, who were in Eduardo Freitas' first race as an FIA race director in the FIA GT Championship back in 2002. That wasn't here, that was a Manu Cour. Vincent Vos was one of the drivers that was competing that day.
It was indeed 6 of them, 3 of them at Team WRT, by the way, with Thierry Tassin and Kurt Mollikens. It was 5 in the FIA GT race and 1 in the European Touring Car Championship race. Tom Ferrier, I'm looking at you.
Yeah. So Ian James, first man on track. He's the first man who will set a hot lap. But behind him, Ahmed Al-Hati in the 46 BMW has gone purple in both sectors. That's the one with the white nose there.
If you're new to endurance racing, new to this kind of format, going purple, fastest sectors and fastest laps of the session. Blue, an improvement on your own time. So at the moment, to that point, it was Ahmed Al-Hati quickest in both. Ian James goes through. It's a 1:47.195. There's a lot still to come from this session. Coming through and only third in the session right now, Ahmed Al-Hati behind Yasser Shaheen.
Yeah, because
6 minutes to go.
Sorry, Greg, because he slowed down dramatically down to the Ravazza. I mean, you're supposed to slow down to Ravazza, but he clearly dropped away from the other two, maybe because he wanted to create a little gap for himself for the next lap when the tyres will be even hotter and even grippier.
But he's an experienced driver, albeit a bronze-rated driver, but an experienced endurance racer, Ahmed Al-Hati. We've seen him in GT3 machinery, GTE machinery, LMP2 machinery, and he's been quick in all of it.
Thomas Fleur fastest of all. Now teammate Francois Heriot goes quicker. So both Ferraris, first and second, ahead of the Aston and the 2 Porsches.
Yeah, so they're straight on it, the 2 Ferrari drivers, but we've got quite a few purple sectors out there flashing up on our timing screens as well.
Worth pointing out that although we are in the Bologna region, as is Lamborghini's hometown, Sant'Agata Bolognese, This is also the closest racetrack to Maranello, and the reason that Imola had a Grand Prix for so many years was because it's Ferrari's home track. So Ferrari, again, going well here.
But that might be about to be grabbed from them as Ian James works his way around the two Ravazzas, 18 and then into 19. Got to keep it stable on the exit and also respect those track limits. That's one area where the well, they're looking at all the track limits around the circuit, but that's one area where you can really get it wrong. As he comes up to the line now, is he going to topple the two Ferraris? Yes, he does.
Oh, he topples it mightily. It's a 1:43.0. Yasser Shaheen goes through with a 1:44.3. Watching Alex Malikin as well. He's on a very quick one. Sarah Bovey goes second. Less than 10th back. Darren Leung splits the two. Less than half a 10th behind. James Leung, Bovey, Giorgio Roda, Yasser Shaheen. Where is Alex Malikin? He's well up on all of those times. And he's going to take this down into the 42s.
Yeah, great lap coming up for Alex Malikin. The Mustang currently in 4th, back down to 6th place in a heartbeat because Alex Malikin went top. Who else improved? James Cottingham in the United Autosports McLaren did.
Didn't just go top, he went top by 7/10 of a second. That's a mighty lap from Alex Malikin.
Little shake of the head there of disbelief, I think, from Vincent Vos we saw in the WRT garage. Their car's now 3rd and 9th, the 46 car. But don't forget that we saw Ahmed Al-Hati in 46 back out of a lap. Thomas Floor, by the way, lost his best lap and is now on another better lap than that one. So let's hope that it remains clean for track limits. Ian James ramping it over the curbs at Variante Alta.
Yeah, two personal bests on the board for this lap, but it's not going to be enough to get pole position for now. But yeah, only 3.5 tenths down by the middle sector, so it's all down to this final sector here. And at some point, these tyres are going to start falling away, so this is critical now.
He was closer to the white line on the exit of Ravazza there, but still kept it clean. Doesn't come inside the white line, cutting the corner in the final turn, which a lot of drivers were. Just keeps it legal. Should be an improvement from Ian James. Here comes Ahmed no, that's not Ahmed Al-Hati, that's the other BMW.
It wasn't an improvement from Ian James last time in that 3rd sector, just dropped to 10th on his previous best time. Al-Hati does though go 3rd.
And Darren Leung, who you see there, in 4th place. Sarah Bovey 5th for Lamborghini.
This is Thomas Floor we're watching in the number 54 Ferrari. What can he do? He's had the best sector of all to start the lap, and then he's dropped a bit, although a personal best in the middle sector. 4.5 tenths down.
Well, if he's only 0.4 away at the line, that will be good enough for second, but he's 1 second back at the line. Well, that's the projected run, so he moves up to 7th place.
He does indeed, and James Cottingham had improved his time, but loses that lap with track limits. Francois Aria does the same in the 3rd sector. Perhaps, though, looking at Alex Malikin, no, not an improved time in Sector 1 after a purple sector of the final sector last time around.
It's what I thought might happen in this session. They've got more out of the tyres earlier on because they're more in the groove, more in the rhythm around this demanding racetrack, and now the tyres are just starting to fall away from them. So, yeah, we're seeing fewer and fewer personal best sectors out there, and there's not one best of all sector on the board at all.
The bottom 3 cars in this session, Francois Aurelio, James Cottingham and Thomas Fleur, are the 3 cars that seem still to have pace available, but they've been making mistakes.
They have not yet set a legal lap, any of those 3, so at the moment I'm not quite sure how they decide who, without a lap, is going to be 8th, 9th and 10th. Ahmed Al-Hati was bouncing everything over the curbs. Here's Giorgio Roda in the Mustang. Very distinctive sound from the Mustang with that big, brawny American V8, same as we hear from the Cadillac.
They'll be pleased with that at the moment as Ahmed Al-Hati pits from 3rd place. Will do no better than that. There's less than a minute left on the clock. It's where are the improvements still to come here?
Giorgio Roda, 6th place. All right, let's see if Francois Auriot can produce a clean lap.
James Cottingham will not improve on this, his final lap. Or is it his final lap? Where is he in that final sector? Thomas Fleur moves up above James Cottingham into 9th place. And Francois Auriot does not improve.
Well, there is Ahmed Al-Hati's number 46 BMW, that currently lying in 3rd. But Alexander Malikin for the second session. They were top yesterday in 1 or 2 sessions. Alexander Malikin with a very good run to the fastest time from Ian James in the heart of racing Aston Martin.
Here we look at James Cottingham in the McLaren United Autosports car number 59. So he's still in 10th place. That's where he was in the first round of qualifying on a personal best through the first sector.
He's got pace in that car, no doubt he's got pace in that car. He just has not put together the lap that's going to make the difference. So at the moment, James is sitting down in 10th place. That does not reflect his or that car's pace. He just needs to hold a full lap together. It's been sector 3 that's been the problem.
Didn't keep it between the white lines. You can see both McLarens with Senna livery rear wings. And he comes out of Variante Alta, keeps it clean there. So far, this is a legal lap for James Cottingham.
And it's an improved lap as well for him. It's an improved lap too for Francois Heriot as they go through to sector 2. It's not going to be a pole lap. It looks to me like Alex Malikin is absolutely safe and home free here. 1:42.365.
And he's bailed, isn't he?
He bailed on that one. Yeah, Ian James in second place then, but it is Alexander Malikin who puts the 92 Manthey Pure Racing Porsche on pole position. It'll be Porsche Aston Martin, the front row in LMGT3, with BMWs lining up on row 2. Then Lamborghini and Mustang, Ford Mustang, and then the Porsche, the second of the Manthey cars, the EMA car, ahead of the first of the Ferraris. That was, in fact, Francois Heriot. And again, Thomas Floor and James Cottingham, and indeed Francois Heriot, and to a degree, a number of the other drivers, their actual speed blunted by not keeping the car within the track limits.
Alex, there's slowly building up some rain. Probably it's gonna hit the last corner, so it could be that we need a quick banker early.
Yeah, 10-4.
Now
Yeah, it looks dark over there, right?
Yeah, it's forming, it's forming.
That's interesting. I was down in the autograph session. Ian James at Heart of Racing was sitting under an umbrella because it was so hot and sunny. I said, I bet you weren't expecting to have the umbrella out for sun. And he said, no, but it's going to rain in qualifying. So, oh, OK.
Any takers for an autograph?
Yes.
You need to reduce your prices, you really do.
They were not far off. And the great thing about this is we're in Emilia-Romagna, which is largely very flat. I mean, this is one of the sort of ripply bits of it. But you can see a long way into the distance and the rain is coming. But this is our pole man in LMGT3, Alexander Malikin for Manthey Pure Racing. That's an excellent performance in Hyperpole.
And extends their championship lead by another single point, of course, with the point for pole position. So Manthey Pure Racing will be utterly delighted with that. That's the other major story here as we see those times. Martin?
Yeah, Manthey ahead of Heart of Racing, so it's Porsche, Aston, and then the pair of BMWs in line astern. And look how widely spaced the BMWs were. 6 whole thousandths of a second between them. I mean, they're not really trying at all, are they? Then Lamborghini and Ford, and rounding out the top 10, you have the second of the Porsches, both Ferraris, and the first of the McLarens. From 11th on down, where they were at the end of the first period of qualifying, that's how they will start. But it will be this man or one of his teammates, depending on who they decide starts. Likely everybody is going to try and start their bronze drivers, i.e. the guys who qualified here. So it is likely that Alexander Malikin will be trying to do 2 things. 1, hold the lead at the start of the race, and 2, not get knocked off by all the hypercars after 5 or 6 laps. Let's get down to McLaren and James Cottingham.
Well, I'm done at United Autosport with James Cottingham. So you made it to the Hyperpole, but what was the result expected? Not disappointed, happy?
Obviously, you know, over the moon to be in Hyperpole. I think this track is very much like our little English tracks where track position at the start of the race is so important. So to be in the front 2 rows is a massive advantage, which was for sure the objective today. So we're not there. But we gave it as much as we could. Yeah, I couldn't have pushed any harder, so I'm really happy with the pace we've had this weekend. We had a couple of small technical issues with an oil leak yesterday, so we really had very limited running for the other drivers. But you know, fingers crossed for the race. It's still a 6-hour race, and we're a strong trio. So yeah, I'm very pleased to have made Hyperpole and be where we are, but obviously I'd like to be a bit better.
Okay, and maybe some rain tomorrow, so anything can happen.
Yeah, anything can happen, especially here. I think the first 4 or 5 laps will be quite interesting.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So they've done the right thing down there at United Autosport by, like you said, very limited running for them due to some minor problems with the car, but it's essentially really limited the other drivers getting behind the wheel. But they've focused on, in my opinion, the most important driver in that lineup to make sure that the bronze driver gets the laps. And that's what they've done. So, you know, they're fighting fires there, but they've approached it in the way you'd expect United Autosport to approach it, by putting their their best foot forward in getting themselves into the top 10. I think that's, like you say, a damage limitation run from them today. Qualifying.
Methodical, strategy-led, it's always been the United way, and it's usually been successful. They're building their range of abilities with this LMGT3 program that came together so late. Now, gentlemen, now we move to the next qualifying session. Another 12 minutes to determine another 10 to go through into Hyperpole. It is 19 cars, and the 3 of them are carrying that flag, and that's going to be a flag that is very much the favourite for very many people here trackside. But we have a battle of the brands, and a battle of the Italian brands for that matter. Ferrari, Lamborghini and Isotta Fraschini, all home teams here, of course. We've got a brand new Peugeot there, the 2 Peugeot 9X8s in 2024 spec. They too are part of the storyline. The defending world champions, that's yet another storyline. They're the ones with the targets on their backs, as we saw in Qatar. So much up for grabs here this early in the season, and it's all about a win for whoever can get to the front of this field at the end of the 6 hours tomorrow. There's Gabby Aubry there, here with the press pass.
Doing French commentary this weekend, he is. Worth reminding everybody that in Italy last year, Toyota beat Ferrari as revenge for losing out at Le Mans to Ferrari. So Ferrari has not yet won a World Endurance Championship race in Italy on home turf. This is more home even the Autodromo Nazionale di Monza is for Italy, for Ferrari. This is really, really close to home, so they will definitely be looking for blood here.
BMWs were very quick this morning. 2nd and 3rd overall, as here they come. Look at this. There's the Lamborghini just pulling into it. Fabulous array of machinery.
Well, all the cars will be running on Michelin Pilot Sport slick weather tyres, slick tyres or the wet weather tyre. So soft, medium and hard. The softest for the coldest conditions, so it looks like snow. Medium with the yellow, hard tyre with the red. We'll probably see a number of those during the race. Hopefully tomorrow the forecast is looking much, much more promising than it was. And here is a look at the new 9X8. It is so different from the 9X8 that we saw racing even as recently as a month ago in Qatar that they really should have given it a different type number. 95% of the components on the car are changed. All the bodywork, all the underfloor, the entire aerodynamic package has been changed by putting a rear wing on. The reason they put the rear wing on is they have changed their tyre format from having equal sized tyres front and rear to what everybody else has, which is fatter tyres on the back and narrower tyres on the front. That means that you can then move more pressure to the back, change the aerodynamic balance of the car, and so the underfloor, the overbody, the front aerodynamic device has been changed. The rear wing is now their movable and adjustable aerodynamic device, so it is a wholesale and utterly comprehensive change. The actual chassis, the driver's cab, is the same, the engine is the same, the transmission is the same. Everything else, baby and bathwater, were thrown out.
15,000 kilometres of testing on that brand new car.
To start qualifying for hypercars. Please remind drivers of the need to respect track limits. We are under 1 minute.
Now, everybody will be as aware of Cadillac of what you can see behind the tower there. The impending arrival of La Pluie, or whatever they call rain in Italy. I don't know what the Italian for rain is. Anyone?
I'm sure there's plenty of people out there that know.
I'm sure there are. I'll just open the window and ask.
Under 30 seconds to start qualifying for hypercar. Under 30 seconds to open pit exit.
One other thing to mention, It's mandatory in LMGT3 for the bronze-rated, the lowest-rated driver to do the qualifying. Gloves are off in Hypercar.
Oh, yes.
Have at it, boys.
Well, for one thing, no bronze drivers in Hypercar.
Qualifying starts in 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hypercar qualifying has started.
Everybody under pressure to get a lap in. We saw in free practice when the track was a little cooler, but maybe 9 degrees cooler, it was taking 3 laps, certainly 2, but often 3 for the hypercars to actually get temperature in the tyres. Anthony Davidson, I mean, there you go. This is going to be a very nervous time. And what happens now if you're on your 3rd lap and you still haven't got heat and there are drops of rain on the windscreen? You're just going to have to go for something.
Yeah, so the driver skill really comes into it with the lack of tyre warmers. We ride on board with number 7 of Kamui Kobayashi. So there's a new driver in their lineup with Nick de Vries, not a new driver to the World Endurance Championship, but a new driver to Toyota. He was qualifying in Qatar, so the boss is back in, Kobayashi. And yeah, we always expect some fireworks from him when it comes to qualifying. He's usually got the pace, so let's see what he can do. But Toyota so far this week, as they were in Qatar, not really troubling the very sharp end. So it's been more between Ferrari, BMWs as well. Like you say, Martin, they're having a much stronger weekend so far. But what can Toyota do? Can they retaliate here after a pretty dismal weekend by their standards in Qatar?
Yeah, so who's out there? Cadillac with a 2-driver lineup this weekend. Alex Lynn is aboard the number 2 car. Porsche Penske Motorsport field Matt Campbell in the 5, Kevin Est in the 6, Tony Gazoo Racing, Kamui Kobayashi de Vos in the 7 car, Brendan Hartley in the 8, Isato Fraschini of Jean-Carl Vernet in the number 11 car, Hertz Team Jota, Callum Eilert in the number 12 car, in the 38 it is Phil Hansen. Let's well listen to what's going on aboard the number 2 car. Alex Lynn and the winner of this car.
Those Porsches do not have cold tyres.
Copy, Alex, copy. Focus on that job.
It's always interesting when you're a driver and you're constantly analysing the rest of the field and just reporting back to your team. Not that they can do anything about it now, hence the comment from his engineer. But you're always analysing the performance of other cars, and he seems a little bit miffed how effortless it was for the Porsches with these cold tyres, and disbelieving that they are actually on fresh cold tyres out of the box.
There you go. To complete the lineup, it's Dries van Teur and René Rast in the 15 and the 20 BMWs. Alpine, Paul-Luc Chatin is aboard the 35, Nico Lapierre in the 36 car. Ferrari's 50, 499P fields Tony Fire, Antonio Fuoco in the 50 car, 51 in the hands of Alessandro Bergrini. It is Mirko Bortolotti for Lamborghini Unlinked in the 63, Peugeot, Jean-Eric Verne in the 93, Stoffel van Dorn in the 94, and finally Proton Competition in their privateer Porsche field Julien Anglauer. They are the 19 drivers that will contest this contest for the top 10 for Hyperpole.
Kobayashi, you're going to see him attack the top chicane there, but not as much as he will be later on, because these tyres still, I can see they're not quite there for him. He's a little bit more tentative than what he'll be in a couple of laps, but they've got to get it done with this rain lurking around. The pressure's on all of the drivers to try and get it done while they can, but they're fighting this element of the tyres, and there could just see the rear stepping out momentarily as the sister car does as well in the final corner.
Cars looking a lot more stable than they did at the beginning of FP3, but then I'm assuming at the beginning of FP3 they're on full tanks, and here they're on next to nothing.
And they could have been starting FP3 on older tyres as well. Here we know that they're on absolute new tyres, which once you get up to temperature, just initially that surface temp, then you get the grip back. So we now ride on board with Matt Campbell in the number 5 Porsche, and overtakes the Ferrari just before turn 2, 3, and then into 4 there, the final left-hander of that first complex of corners.
We're looking for times, if it stays dry. Free practice quickest time of the weekend so far came for the number 50 Ferrari in the hands of Antonio Fuoco with a 1:30.9. Currently doing 1:37s, mid 1:37s at the moment. Plenty of time to come.
Interesting the way the Porsche, number 5 Porsche Penske Motorsport car, just flew by the Ferrari. Kamui Kobayashi Well, nobody has set a lap yet, so at the moment, Julian Andlau in the 99 Proton competition Porsche that did 5 laps in 60 minutes of FP3, he is fastest in Sector 1 and Sector 2, so whatever ailed it this morning seems to be not an issue right now.
Top 5 times are the 5 Porsches right now. The 2 factory cars, but Hertz Team Jota's 38 that tops the times at the moment. These are not the times we expect to top it at the end of the session, but interesting that, as Alex then said, they've got performance early in this run.
Fastest first sector of the current hot laps, Dries van Toor in the number 15 BMW. He's not been as quick in the second sector. So is it Porsche that will be the dominant force here? Don't forget the number 6 Porsche is our championship leading team after winning in Qatar the season opener.
Yeah, but the Totas are climbing the ladder now. Kobayashi goes to the top first into the 133s. He's top of the pile. Now into 4th goes Brendan Hartley in a 134.6. It's Toyota time.
Nico Lapierre going very slowly there, even though he was apparently 8/10 up at the end of the second sector. So had he made a mistake there?
I think he could just see that he was slowly catching the number 15 car in front of him before the final 2 corners. So I think he knew, he can probably feel the tyres coming in all the time and knew that actually I better cut my losses on this lap, sacrifice this lap to then have a much freer lap, and he just slowed down, gave himself a bit of a breather for the car in front. Of the sister car of the BMW team. We've already spoken about the car number 20. So yeah, that's showing his experience there from Lapierre.
He's going to hate that if it's raining halfway around the next lap, isn't he?
That's the gamble he's taken.
Yeah. Watch Brendan Hartley and watch Matt Campbell on this lap. They're almost 2 seconds up on the provisional session topping time right now. 5 minutes to go. Plus a handful of seconds. Kamui Kobayashi leads it right now, but Matt Campbell is almost 2 seconds up on that time.
Yeah, Antonio Fuoco losing his fast lap.
Proton to the top.
Yeah, Julian Andlau's been quick all the way through. Antonio Fuoco faster than anybody so far on the lap he's on, but that's been cancelled. Matt Campbell, number 5 Porsche, top of the pile.
And Ferrari go second. So now Alessandro Pierguidi is getting into this fight, and he's only 2/10 back. Where's this coming from?
So we haven't seen this kind of performance so far from Porsche Penske throughout the entire weekend.
Schwartzman to the top.
Yep, that's great stuff from Robert Schwartzman.
And he's been absolutely flying here.
No, loses the lap. Track limits, final sector for Schwartzman, I'm afraid.
That's a shame because, like I say, he has been very quick here in that number 83 Ferrari. Schwartzman, he's just got to keep it a bit cleaner because he's certainly got the speed to get that Ferrari right to the front today.
Fastest car in the first sector is the Lamborghini right now, and very much quicker, nearly 3/10 up. Can they repeat that performance around a full lap, though? It is Porsche, Ferrari, Privateer Porsche, Peugeot up to 4th, Cadillac 5th. This session is lighting up.
Fuoco was flashing away on the lights, wasn't he? You could see he had Matt Campbell in front of him, the Porsche. He's now overtaken, so Campbell's done the right thing and let through the faster car on that particular lap. As we watch now, eyes on the number 8 Toyota, driven by Brendan Hartley, fastest in the middle sector. What can he do as he comes up to the line now?
He's already
P7 for now, but then goes P1, so a great lap by Brendan.
Phil Hansen goes 4th fastest for Hertz Team Jota, Mighty 38. Callum Islet goes up to 3rd for Jota in their number 12 car. Brendan Hartley and Antonio Fuoco top of the pile.
Fuoco to the top and well to the top, half a second up. Alessandro Pierguidi makes it a Ferrari 1-2.
Stop the clocks.
Well, we still need that number 83 Ferrari as well, don't we?
Boom, Schwartzman,
there we go.
1, 2, 3 for Ferrari.
Wow. Wow.
Focus on who's going out. Anybody from Alessandro Pierguidi down, basically, because Schwartzman has just gone from last to fast.
So both BMWs in the cut zone, both Alpines in the cut zone. The Isotta's there, but not anywhere close to the bottom at the moment. One of the Peugeots.
Sorry, Graham, the rest of the field, I can see on my timing screen, they've all done a personal best first sector, and many just get popping in the personal best middle sectors as well, including this guy here we run on board with, Kamui Kobayashi.
I'm just about to point out the BMW's René Rast, who was 3rd fastest in free practice, was last. He's just popped up to 6th on 1 flying lap. So there is absolutely nothing here that is set in stone.
Yeah, top 8 cars within a single second. the top, 12 cars that includes the bubble within a second and a half.
Yeah, Alex Lynn is the one in the Cadillac, number 2, sitting in 10th place for now, but he's just done a personal best in the first sector. Let's keep an eye on him.
Brendan Hartley goes back to second place. Kobayashi goes up to third. It's Ferrari against Toyota again. Double yellows at turn 10, and that's a BMW off the road. Red flag.
Okay, why the red? What does he hit?
So that's spinning round on the exit of Piratella before the dip down towards Acqua Minerale.
Pirouetella, obviously.
Very good. I'll give you that one.
Here all week, folks. Try the chicken.
And that could have very easily been in the barrier there. You could just see how the car got beached momentarily on the curb on the exit there. Used to be a corner that we studied for track limits, but they've brought the gravel back, which I really prefer, actually. Brought it back to the curb, so it makes it more of a challenge for the drivers. And that's a flat-spotted set of Michelin tyres there.
That's going to be gravel on the track as well, which I suspect may be part of the consideration for race control. How quickly can we get this session back underway?
That's interesting, because there was an immediate red flag, which normally suggests somebody's very heavily in the barriers. Under 2 minutes remaining. What's an outlap? 1 minute 45, 1 minute 50?
You're going to hurry on here, and you may get one, but it's how long will it be on pit lane with those tyres cooling?
If you're right at the front of the queue to get out of the pit lane, you might get a lap. If you're about 7th or 8th back, you probably won't.
Well, who's going to be interested in doing that? Let's look at 11th down to 19th.
Yeah.
11th is the number 38 Hertz Team Jota Porsche of Phil Hansen. Alex Lynn in the Cadillac, 12th.
And sorry, Graham, they have sent him down towards the end of the pit lane.
Okay, there you go. So they intend to get it out if they possibly can. The clock has stopped at 1 minute 57, by the way. The second of the BMWs, because one is in 9th and out of Rennie Rast, the 20 car. The 15 likely will not rejoin this session, bringing out the red flag.
I'd say if you're any lower than around 7th or 8th in this queue,
you've got to go.
I doubt you're going to get your lap in.
Yeah,
agreed. So who's out? Isotta, both Alpines, the Lamborghini, both Peugeots, the Cadillac, and one each of BMW WRT and Hertz Team Jota are out. So in are both Porsches, all 3 Ferraris and both Toyotas.
Right, and confirmed, by the way, from race control, the 15 will not be permitted to rejoin this session.
Well, he's in the queue, though, isn't he? Did I not see the back of both BMWs in the queue? I stand to be corrected.
That would got an interesting one, because by being in the queue, he could well delay someone who's entitled to be there.
Well, I think that perhaps race director Eduardo Freitas will have him pulled out of the queue. Martin Jakobsen at the back of the shot there, who joined us in FP3. There's definitely one BMW there ahead of the 2 Ferraris. I think that's another BMW further up.
So, 1 minute 57 to go.
There is the medium tyre for Michelin, the Michelin Pilot Sports, that we are using for all our cars. And a brand new set going on, the Lamborghini. Well, they're not even going to get scrubbed before he's got to death or glory that.
That's a bit of a strange strategy call, I'd say. You're not at the front of the pack, so you're probably not going to get your lap anyway. Are they just using this to scrub the tyres instead of actually going for a lap on them? Because we know by experience that it takes 3 or 4 laps anyway to bring a set of these tyres in these conditions.
Looking at the screens, there could be a further drama for one of the cars that currently is in Hyperpole, and that's the 99 Proton car, under investigation, technical infringement. Now that car, and that's a Julian Andlar, currently sits 7th. Could that be the saviour of Phil Hansen and the 38 car?
Pit exit will open on a short call.
I think we saw an official there telling a BMW driver to get out of the queue. Now, I don't know how he's going to do that, because obviously they're nose to tail, and he's somehow got to drive out of the way. So
I completely agree, Martin. I reckon he was saying, you're the one that caused the red flag, so actually, technically, you shouldn't be rejoining.
I think the only sensible way to get him out there is actually to send the team down with the dollies and a portable bottle of air, lift him up and push him sideways.
At 15:39:30 in roughly 5 seconds.
Okay.
Well, that is going to cause problems for anybody behind him.
Pit exit is open. Pit exit is open.
Green flag.
Clock's running.
And Alex Lynn is out there.
Yes.
Straight away, foot to the floor in that Cadillac to try and protect.
15 BMW was pushed out of the way, so he has not impeded anybody, so the 20 BMWs come out, but you're right, Alex Lynn now sees this as the only opportunity to put the car back into Hyperpole, and he's absolutely right, but then right behind him, one of the Alpine as well, Paul-Luc Chatin has got the opportunity to try and do the same with the 35 car.
Well, the cars that are coming out late here, no chance of getting round in time to start a flying lap. Final car that left pit lane was the Lamborghini. It was only 1 minute and 25 seconds on the clock.
And that was a shame for Dries van Tor there, because you know they had the speed this weekend. We've seen it all the way through this weekend, and much better performance in the car compared to that of Qatar. But yeah, wasn't to be. His teammate still up there in P9 at the moment, with René Rast behind the wheel of the car 20.
Look how dark the clouds look in the background. They've actually moved sideways past the circuit, so I think we may have dodged that particular bullet. Coming up later on this afternoon, Porsche Carrera Cup Deutschland, and the first race of the Lamborghini Super Trofeo Europe may not be so fortunate.
So here we go then, Alex Lynn, and Cadillac, your one and only car in the hypercar field. Can you get yourself into the top 10? You're currently sitting in P12.
The other thing to watch here is who gets across the line before time expires. 22 seconds until the time expires. If you don't make it, you're not going for another fast run.
Well, watch on the times, because instead of setting a time, a checkered flag will come out alongside them. 9, 8, 7 seconds to go. Lynn is on a lap, and the checkered flag is out. So
first car to see the checkered flag will be the number 50 Ferrari
and 51.
Correct. So
who's got a lap? Alex Lynn, the 36 Alpine, the 35 Alpine, 20 BMW RT of René Rast. He's in the top 10. 94 Peugeot has a shot, and Stoffel Vandoorne is currently 14th. And 11 last, Jean-Carl Vernet, probably not going to make a quicker lap.
The most dramatic one, the 38 Hertz Team Jota car, currently the first car out of Hyperpole. We wait to find out what happens about the Proton car. That car took the checkered flag.
Alex Lynn giving it everything he possibly can around this 4.9 kilometre circuit, but I just don't think he's got the tyres there for him anymore.
Well, the good news is that they were hot and have only spent 2 or 3 minutes in the pit lane, which is why Eduardo was trying desperately to get everything restarted as fast as humanly possible, because hot tyres means safer tyres for the driver, as well as better performance. Oh, I think
close,
that might have been illegal.
No, close, but he was in. But it's not going to be enough anyway. He's given it absolutely everything as Alex Lynn, but it wasn't to be. He crosses the line still.
He improves.
In P12.
He improves.
What about Nico Lapierre and Paul-Luc Chatin? The Alpines at 17th and 18th. Lapierre does not improve, neither does Paul-Luc Chatin.
And you can see here the car number 94 has bailed from that lap as well with Stoffel Vandoorne. Disappointment for both Peugeots, actually. 14th and 15th in this session with their brand new 9X8.
Well, again, this is the first time that they have, in the heat of qualifying, really lent on this car. Yes, they will have simulated it, but it's not the same. And it might be that actually they've just not got the tyre exactly where they need it in terms of pressures and so on. So you don't have to be much off in this intense field of 19 hypercars to be off.
So who's made it? The 50 Ferrari from AF Corsa with Antonio Fuoco at the wheel. Matt Campbell has brought the number 5 Porsche Penske Motorsport 963 into Hyperpole. Brendan Hartley and Kamui Kobayashi bring the number 8 and the number 7 Totas through. Robert Schwartzman with the privately entered, the bright yellow 83 car is through, as is the second factory Ferrari, the 51 car in the hands of Ale Guidi. At the moment, the Proton competition number 99 car is to be. We're waiting to find out what happened about some kind of technical infringement for Julian Andlauer. The 20 BMW makes it through and compensates at least a little for the disappointment. The 15 René Rast has put that car into Hyperpole. Hertz Team Jota have one of their 2 in at the moment. Callum Eilert aboard the 12 car, and completing the 10 is the number 6 Porsche Penske Motorsport. Both the factory cars through. Kevin Estra wait and see what happens with the Proton car, and the car that would profit from its misfortune if it doesn't make it is the second Hertz Team Jota car.
But the only thing that could happen to the second Hertz Team Jota car is that it would start 10th if there's a penalty for 99, because unless they apply the penalty now, he can't go out into Hyperpole.
That's the point.
Which means he doesn't have a shot
Correct.
at pole, which otherwise he might do. So for 10 cars, rapid tyre changes. They won't put any more fuel in the car. They will have been fueled on the premise of getting through to Hyperpole, although actually, potentially realistically, for some of the cars, you think the Isotta, the Lamborghini, and probably both the Alpines, they weren't expecting to get through, so they may not have fueled them for Hyperpole as well.
Wow, what an intensely close fought fight this is in Hypercar. If you had told me that the 38 Jota, the number 2 Cadillac, both Peugeots wouldn't have made it through into the top 10, I would have found that very hard to believe.
Jean-Marc, tricky conditions, first time out for this brand new 9X8 with the rear wing, so I'm guessing you're still learning.
Yes, well, we are very happy to be there with this new car. So but now we can see that in Imola the pace is very fast, it's very close between performers, so we would have loved to be in the Hyperpole. It won't be the case, but the race will be long tomorrow, and we will keep on being focused on it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Welcome.
Well, we've got the timing screen up now for Hyperpole from race control, and the 99 car is on that list. So that would appear to be whatever's gone their way. It's not dropped them out of the Hyperpole.
Or the investigation hasn't been concluded. It might be that there is something that they will need to look at after qualifying. And unfortunately, then, for the second of the Jota cars, that means that the opportunity to try and put themselves right at the front of the pack or towards the front of the pack will be denied them, whether 99 gets a penalty or not. But for the moment, both Porsche Penske Motorsport cars through, both Toyota Gazoo Racing cars through, one of Hertz Team Jota's Porsche, both of the AF Corsa Ferraris, the red cars, and the third yellow AF Corsa Ferrari, Proton's Porsche, and the number 20 BMW. So we have got a real mix. Porsche, Toyota, privateer Porsches, Ferraris, and a BMW. So no Peugeot, no Alpine, and no Isotta, no Lamborghini making it through.
Pretty impressive from Porsche. Obviously, both the works cars are through, but that same platform being used by both Jota and Proton competition. So out of the 5 cars that they have here, 4 have made it through into the top 10. Yep. Goes to show what a car that is, and proves why it won the first race of this championship in Qatar with car number 6.
And continues the rich heritage of Porsche customers being able to take the battle, not just to every other car on the grid, but to Porsche factory-backed teams like Penske Porsche. And Roger Penske here again this weekend. It is an IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Series weekend. They are racing in Long Beach this weekend, but the Admiral is here, the captain is here this weekend, steering the World Endurance Championship. So Roger Penske here was wondering whether Penske had, as a team, had ever raced here before, and that the only chance I thought would have been when they were racing in the 1970s in Formula One, but Imola was not on the calendar in either of their Formula One seasons, so we think this is quite possibly the first time that Penske as a team have raced here in Imola. One other thing is that should they come out on top here, that will be Penske Motorsport's, how many poles?
100th pole in endurance racing.
Now, I'm not sure what was being announced to the crowd, but I gather it might have been something Ferrari related.
One other quick point, gentlemen, as we wait for this Hyperpole to start. As a mark of just how open this field has been so far this season, 4 of the 10 cars in Hyperpole here did not make Hyperpole in Qatar.
Well, that's the deal here. We've got 19 cars in Hyperpole. Only 10 of them are in Hypercar. Only 10 of them are going to earn points in the race. Well, so already half the cars on this grid have a 0 from Qatar, and that doubles the pressure immediately on those teams to perform, never mind their sister cars.
Let's put it another way, 14 of the 19 cars in this full season field have made Hyperpole at least once. Who's been off there?
Chalk dust. Yeah, somebody's just gone straight through the gravel at Tamburello.
It's the 12 car.
On the outlap.
That was the 12 car. That was the Hertz Team Joe to Callum Island.
There's Nick de Vries in the Toyota garage.
Looking slightly spooked.
This is one of the hardest moments for the drivers, actually. You've just been out there on tyres, giving you quite a lot of grip. You slap another new set on, you go back out there, and you haven't quite got the grip you expected. And you're pointing at the screen there, Martin.
What were we seeing on the screen of that Ferrari? Was that just fly squash, or was that a couple of drops of water? Walking up here on the track walk on Thursday afternoon, started sunny. By the time we got to Tosa, thunder and lightning had swept across the circuit. It was a very wet remainder of the track walk.
Not at all funny for us that didn't go out in any way.
Cold, by the way, and wet.
That'll teach you to get here early and do your homework. If you're just more lazy like we are, you would have got wet.
It has gone dark. There's no doubt it's darker out there. We've got no bright sunshine on this start-finish straight anymore.
Well, now, we would go down to Bruce, but he hasn't got high-heel wedge Wellingtons on, so there's no need of a rain report from him. It does look dry still everywhere. We have no reports of rain, and normally we would get that on the timing screen. So as of now, it is the number 7 Toyota that is the first to start the flying laps.
So under 8 minutes as the flying laps begin, and that was Kamui Kobayashi going through at the head of the queue with a course of clear track ahead of him. Hearing from Bruce that car 83 has got wet tyres ready, but I think that would be too little too late at this stage.
Yeah, there's absolutely no chance you're going to come in and put a wet on, because you'll just lose all the time. Never mind the fact that you'll never get the thing up to work on a dry track, even with a bit of rain on it.
Once again, the start of this session, it is the Porsche's quickest on the opening sectors of this fast run.
Interesting, behind the Toyota, you saw the 99 Proton Porsche still weaving as it came out of Tosa up the hill, still trying to build heat in those front tyres.
Oh, we'll be seeing that for a lap or two more than this. And yeah, the cars, you can clearly see that they're not carrying anywhere near the speed through the minimum speed in the corners as they were at the end of the first session. So yeah, these lap times are going to start coming down as this session progresses, and there'll be a peak to it as well. And that's when all the drivers have got to feel that. We'll be having our eyes everywhere as well on the screens, letting you know who's improving when we see it. And there's the experienced eyes of Andre Lotterer as part of the car number 6 Porsche crew that won the first race, watching on. He knows exactly what these drivers are feeling right now. It's a real heart-and-mouth moment. You can feel every slip. The car becomes very digital in how it grips and slips, and you've got to be right on top of it. Maximum confidence as well to be able to feel that and react to it on these laps where you can throw it all away when you know that it doesn't really matter that much, because these laps aren't the ones that are going to get you pole position, but you can easily throw it away.
Porsche 1-2 at the moment. Matt Campbell, the pole man in Qatar, ahead of the number 6 Porsche Penske Motorsport car, the championship leaders. So Toyota, fastest first sector for Kamui Kobayashi, quicker than him, Brendan Hartley, quicker than him by a long way in 99. Julian Andlauer, 7/10 faster than the current fastest first sector.
Can explain, by the way, what that technical infringement meant. They lost their fastest lap at that point, but improved, so that saved them into Hyperpole. So we're clear and ready to go, and these lap times are absolutely tumbling. 34s at the moment. It's going to be a lot quicker than that.
Porsche 1, 2, 3, 5. That's impressive. Only the number 8 Toyota at the moment breaking up Porsche's domination after the first flying lap.
Of the 10 cars out there at the moment, after their second sector, 8 of those 10 are set to improve their current times. In fact, 8 of those 10 are set to improve on the overall fastest time.
Every one of them is going to improve on their own times. So Toyota Gazoo Racing go 1-2, 99 Proton Porsche goes 3rd, 12 Hertz Team Toyota goes 4th.
Waiting though for the 2 factory Porsches.
And the 99 as well.
Matt Campbell does not improve, neither does Kevin Estre.
Wow.
And that looked as if they meant to do it that way. Big moment for the number 5 car.
Yeah, it looked like he carried a massive lock-up towards turn 2. He's really going to be feeling that one, is Matt Campbell.
And I'm sure thumbing the button in the Porsche behind, get him out of my way, is Kevin Estre, because that's going to cripple his lap. This is down into Tamburello.
I think that was there was a strategic move at the end of that lap, without a shadow of a doubt. And both the factory Porsches slowed in the 3rd sector, and then they went for it, and that's the result for Matt Campbell.
Just trying to see that front left tyre, and yeah, you can really see that flat spot as it continues to rotate, maybe damaged onto the underfloor of that car as well, over quite a high-speed rough ride on that gravel. That could prove to be a real costly mistake there for Campbell.
Right now, he's handing things off to Toyota. Proton Competitions, Julian Andlauer, 3rd fastest currently, ahead of Callum Eilert in the Hertz Team Jota Porsche.
What happened there? Sorry, Graham. What happened there with
slowed right down?
Yeah, I think he just put his hand up in the air as well, did Brendan Hartley, on the run down towards turn 18. Clearly unhappy about something.
Antonio Fuoco fastest in sector 2, not as quick as the best in sector 1. Hartley quicker, Andlauer quicker again.
Andlauer 130.782 goes to the top for Proton Competition. The 99 car was in trouble earlier today. He got a bare handful of laps in, but Julian Andlauer has taken that thing by the throat and wrestled it around. By
8400s, but Antonio Fuoco on target to go a second quicker again, and Alessandro Pierguidi goes quicker as well. So 7/10 between Fuoco's Ferrari and Pierguidi's Ferrari. Robert Schwartzman makes it a Ferrari 1, 2, 3.
Well. 129.735. Double yellow at turn 70 for the
it's Brendan Hartley. He's going to reverse it into the gravel and get stuck. No, he's not.
Just looking for room to get the car around by the look of things.
Yeah, going to have to donut that round, John Alesi style.
So apparently the hand in the air, I've heard, was because he got too close to the car 7 in front. And this is the moment we're going to see the spin in Tosa. Oh, just locks the rears on the way into that corner and completely gets away from him.
That was down at Tosa, wasn't it?
Good news for Tifosi, and the bad news for everybody else is the Ferraris were improving to that point, but they've lifted off. 2 minutes to go.
They're still top 3, and now starting to build a bit more heat. Monster lock up there for Camus Kobayashi as well. That's Variante Alta.
Well, they're all feeling the pressure, aren't they? Drivers making mistakes, cars locking up, cars spinning off as well. The two Toyotas getting a bit too close to each other, out on track as well. And another rough ride we see over that top chicane.
We are going to see so much of that in the race, where they misjudge the approaching speed to a GT3 car that's hard on the anchors with its ABS pulsing.
Callum Eilert goes 4th. He's the only other car within a second of the provisional pole.
So these are important laps here, and the Ferrari garages, they know that, as Fuoco is on it on towards the first couple of corners here at Tamburello.
The Ferrari fan there, John Elkann, the chairman of Ferrari, here to watch at home.
Watching to Kevin Estre. He, as are the top 2 cars, up on pole time. Kevin Estre, half a tenth.
Campbell is not. That flat spot is definitely hurting. There's Thomas Laudenbach, the head of Porsche's racing, and Antonio Fuoco, 1500s up.
Yeah, these are the laps. This lap here is all about this. So what can Porsche do? He drops a little bit of speed there, does Kevin Estre in the middle sector, but Fuoco is absolutely on it through sector 1 and sector 2 as well. Just sets the fastest sector of all.
These guys may not get another lap. There's 25 seconds. I don't think most of them are going to get to the line. It's this or not at all. Number 7 Toyota will get another lap. 99 will get another lap. Callum Eilert will get another lap. 6 and 5, Porsche Penske Motorsport, maybe not.
Fuoco is way up on his provisional pole time. Here comes Kevin Estre. What can he do?
By 3 seconds, 2, 1.
Second.
Oh, checkered flag. He takes the checkered flag. No, he doesn't. 5 does. Matt Campbell's done.
Matt Campbell goes through to 3rd.
Fuoco fastest of all. He's taken the checkered flag.
And he takes another 4 tenths out of the top time. Makes it so much more difficult.
Pierre Guidi goes second. John Elkins applauding. It's not yet done.
Because Kevin Estre has another go at this. He got through, like you say. His teammate Matt Campbell didn't. He's done. He's finished. But Estre might still be on one here.
Estre's first sector is not even as quick as any of his best, and he needs to find 6/10. It is a Ferrari 1, 2, 3 at the moment. John Elkann wearing the latest range of Ferrari wear. That's that is a great guy to have in your garage when you use 3 cars to wipe the floor with the opposition at home.
Kevin Estre has definitely lifted off. Just looking to see.
What about Callum Eilert? Is there anything left in his laps?
What about Kamui Kobayashi? He's 9th in this session.
Started so well for the Toyotas, did they really? They started well and took the fight to Ferrari, and then Brendan had that moment where he got too close in turn 19, in turn 18, the 2 Ravazzas, and then I think that put him off balance as he had to back out, and then had that spin. Then Kobayashi locked up, went wide in the top chicane, and it was the Ferrari that seemed to have that speed as they got more into their rhythm, and all 3 of them really putting pressure on for that pole position. But yeah, it's Antonio Fuoco once again in that number 50 Ferrari. He really can put a lap together, can't he, when it comes to qualifying?
Well, Antonio Fuoco, we know about his quality. Alessandro Pierguidi, 3-time GT World Champion, we know about his quality as well. Robert Schwartzman, if you'd never heard of him before this season, you'd be entirely forgiven for it, but he separated the factory Ferrari drivers. He is on the front row of the grid. It is not an all-red Ferrari front row.
I don't think that matters to most of the people trackside here. It's something of a festival here for them. It is Ferrari 1, 2, 3, 50 from 83 from 51. Then the 2 factory Porsches. They don't give the captain their 100th pole here.
That'll have to wait maybe till Spa, or who knows, maybe to Le Mans. Or maybe they'll get one in Long Beach this afternoon.
No, that's done.
Oh, that's done.
The pole is done. Although Porsche do stand at the gates of another famous number. It's 600 wins in IMSA they're looking for in any class, and 599 at the moment, so Long Beach could be very important. 2 chances to do that.
The really interesting thing for me, though, is that qualifying is one thing, and you've got the Ferraris knocking out that top 3 position, but the 2 Porsches behind them. But the Porsche, the interesting thing for the race is that their tyre warm-up seems to be by far better than anyone. They will be under massive threat at Ferrari for the first couple of laps of the race tomorrow.
Ferrari are just going to basically have to tie wrap the door handles together and go 3 wide down into Tamburello and just, no, genuinely, circle the wagons, elbows out, shut the darn door, because it doesn't matter how quick the Porsche's tyres work they say, up to speed. If there is no room on the track, and there is no room on the track, then you're slowing down a faster car, and that's what motor racing can be about as well.
Shout out to BMW as well, WRT, P7 for them. A great turnaround in performance from Qatar. So, yeah, the car definitely suiting this circuit at Imola, as the Ferrari is as well. A much slower speed circuit. Got to have the agility in the car and slow speed, and the way it rides the curbs. The BMW, a much better day for them, at least for one of their cars.
Yeah, improvement at the end, we should note by Kamui Kobayashi up to 6th, right at the flag. So it's going to be close, this, gentlemen, tomorrow. It really, really is. It's getting more and more exciting as we get deeper into this season. We're not that deep in, long way to go.
Well, the only thing we know for certain is that we know nothing for certain. This is going to be absolute carnage. In the wide open expanses of Qatar, where the track was 50% wider, the runoffs were 200% wider, and the sight lines were much longer, everybody hit everybody else. Here, this is Nelson Piquet's. It's like trying to fly a helicopter around your living room. That's what this is going to be like. But there's going to be another 37 lunatics trying to fly their helicopters around your living room at the same time. So getting through traffic is not going to be easy, and holding off your rivals, whichever of our 2 classes you're in, is going to be just clinging on by your fingernails.
Well,
but look at that. Look at the smile on the face of Antonio Fuoco. That is a plan well executed. They have done a superb job.
Dancing over the curbs, the number 50 car.
Ferrari 1, 2, 3 in Imola. something that the Ferrari Formula One team could only dream of.
And
they take a 1-2, honestly, but...
And they really weren't there. They didn't show up to the races, did they, in Qatar? The car wasn't performing anywhere near as well as I had expected them to be. And I thought maybe it was just a qualifying scenario for them, but it's still in the race trim. It didn't perform well at all. So they've really turned things around coming here. And yeah, interesting to see the different qualities of the different cars up and down the field.
Yeah, Qatar was a tough week for Ferrari, and they will definitely be hoping that this is a little better. You saw Miguel Molina and Niklas Nielsen there closest to the camera with smiles on their faces, offering their congratulations to the Manthey Porsche crew who have taken pole position in LMGT3. So, yeah, second qualifying of the season, and very different cars at the front to the ones that we saw in Qatar.
And this should be the beauty of the formula.
So we'll have the Hyperpole prizes presented in a moment. There's Bruce Chouani down at the bottom, waiting to talk to our Porsche crew.
Well, an amazing qualifying session with Hyperpole that's been won by the GT3 crew of the Manthey Racing Porsche. Congratulations. It was about 15 minutes ago, so maybe the hype's gone down a bit, but you must be delighted.
Yeah, it's a very good day for us. To be honest, all my slaps were clean, and I had very good car to perform. And I want to say thank you my teammates. They prepare car for me. It's very good because car setup is not my question. You know, I just jump in, and the more professional guys do a mega job to give me good car. So yeah, and good laps and good team.
Well, you did the job. Evidently, you did the job.
Part of job for sure.
Okay, well done to you guys. A little word. Happy, looking forward to the race.
Yeah, of course. I mean, starting from pole is always nice, so for sure looking forward to the race. Will be quite a long one and tough with the traffic, but we have the best position, so yeah, will be an interesting race for us.
Okay, another win?
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, definitely not easy. It was a great day today. A great job from the whole team, but in the end, Alex was in the car and put the car on pole, so really happy what he did today. Yeah, looking forward to tomorrow. It will be an interesting race for us.
Yeah, and good luck for tomorrow. I'm going to have to go and interview the Hyperpole in Hypercar.
So you heard from Alexander Malikin, then Joel Sturm, and finally Klaus Bachler. They are the trio in the Manthey Pure Racing
Okay, a little
Porsche.
interview. Miguel Molina, a little word. He did a good job again, no?
Yeah, we know that Antonio is really good in quali, and he showed many times. And here in front of the people, I think for an Italian guy, the motivation was there. So today, and like always, he did a very good job.
Antonio, congratulations. An amazing lap. Well, a set of amazing laps, because you had 2 laps which were good enough for pole.
Yeah, I think it was amazing. I just want to thank all the team for the amazing job. We are P1, but also the other 2 cars. We are P2 and P3 in front of our Tifosi, our home race. So I think now we need to focus on the race. We did a really good job today, and we try to do our best tomorrow.
Excellent. Well, this new format, Hyperpole, there's our partner Rolex, who's really proud to present an award, and it's actually Pierre Fillon himself, president of the Automobile Club de l'Ouest, that's gonna give the prize, the medals, the Rolex medals, and I think we can go forward. Pierre.
So Pierre Fillon, president of the ACO, the governing body of Le Mans and Le Mans Rules Racing. And one of the leading lights particularly in the formation of the Hypercar rule book. And Pierre Fillon was saying so much work got done during lockdown. You know, there were so many bad things about COVID, but among the good things that it produced was time to get this rule set working with Le Mans Hypercar and the LMDH cars that are racing as GTP in IMSA.
And look at it, the depth, the quality of this field we've got, not just the factories, but the privateer teams that have put their hat in the ring this early on in this fuel sets. It's pretty amazing.
And can you believe that we come back, you know, we're 2 years out of the second lockdown, and we're at the zenith of sports car racing at any time in history. I mean, it's remarkable.
And again, the Rolex prize for the Hyperpole winner. First was Antonio Fuoco, and then Nicolas Nielsen, and finally Miguel Molina. You can be proud.
And Miguel actually pointing out something I really hadn't thought about, that the only Italian was the man who got to qualify the car here.
There you go.
And Ferrari's first pole in Imola in, I don't know how long in international racing, because when have they had one recently in Formula One?
It's an awfully long time in sports car racing. The other point to make, by the way, for the privateers is we saw...
Well, it was
Jota
a
car on
top
the
3 for Ferrari. Tomorrow we'll be there at 12:30 live, so don't miss the race. It's going to be an amazing fight between Ferrari, Porsche and all the others. So 12:30 tomorrow. Goodbye.